There is this problem in conservation. We call it the bingo problem. Bingo is short for big NGO. It refers to large nonprofits. They have fancy offices in DC, access to the latest scientific technology, and brands that are recognizable worldwide. But the thing is, many of the most effective conservation projects aren't actually run by bingos. In fact, oftentimes it's smaller local conservation groups, who maybe you've never even heard of, that are the best at saving nature. They're run by people like this guy. His name is Rudy Putra, and he lives in one of the most ecologically fragile places on the planet, the Lucer ecosystem in Sumatra. It's home to the last 80 wild Sumatran rhinos, and yet it has been ravaged by poaching and illegal oil palm plantations. When it comes to saving this place, Rudy has a leg up on many international organizations. He speaks the local language, he knows community members, and he is actually from the place that he is trying to save. But it's getting harder for organizations like Rudy's to fund their work. As bingos get bigger and bigger, local conservation groups have been crowded out, meaning that some of the most effective conservationists are having trouble funding their projects. That's why about 10 years ago, a world-renowned scientist named Stuart Pym started an experiment. What if we created a model that prioritized getting funding and the latest scientific methods directly into the hands of local groups? What Dr. Pym came up with was a new model for international conservation, and here's how it works. Instead of Stuart imposing himself on Rudy, the model starts with Rudy approaching Stuart. He says, "Hey, we're losing species and we could use your help." Stuart then goes to Sumatra and brings his equipment. They study satellite data, they take drone footage, they make surveys. Stuart and his team are looking for the ideal location to build a corridor that will reconnect two fragmented patches of land. It's a complex and mathematical process, based off of patch size, corridor length, as well as the location of species. Once the math is complete and Stuart has identified a target area, he goes back to the United States. He and the team at Saving Nature raise the money that is needed to buy the corridor. Once they have enough funds, they go to Rudy and the team at FKL. Instead of buying the land directly, they give this money to Rudy and his team, who then buy and own the land. Rudy hires people from local communities to reforest the target area. They collect and plant seeds from native species. And then they set up camera traps to monitor the success of the reforested area. And that's it. It's a model that works because there is a symmetry in needs. Rudy needs Stuart for the analysis and fundraising, and Stuart needs Rudy to work on the ground, building trust from within his community and implementing the project. Just over a third of the target area has been reforested. Once complete, the 500-hectare forest will reconnect 5,000 hectares of habitat. This vastly expands the population range for elephants and helps to prevent inbreeding. Already, local species are being found in reforested areas. But this project has done more than save species. It's also provided jobs to those who might otherwise rely on poaching, keeping species out of wet markets where they are vulnerable to spread diseases, and in the forest where they belong. Building a new corridor also means planting trees. And these corridors act as a carbon sink, absorbing CO2 from the atmosphere and helping to mitigate the impacts of climate change. Once complete, this corridor will absorb 7,600 tons of carbon dioxide per year. This model isn't just hypothetical, and it hasn't just been used with Rudy. Stewart has used this model to build over 10 corridors in some of the most threatened areas on the planet. They all rely on science and are dependent upon local collaboration. The task ahead is still daunting. Around the globe, there are over 24,000 species that are listed as endangered. But what this approach shows is that saving nature is still possible.